Now this is the Apollo Belvedere, at least according to the guard who most enthusiastically sought out the answer for me. The guidebook suggests that this statue in particular was extremely influential to Michelangelo. Michelangelo already had the benefit of the early Renaissance, providing an incentive and a justification and an acceptance of the body as a beautiful thing, as opposed to something to be hidden that the church had promoted during the Dark Ages. I notice the lightness of the fabric draped over his arm and around his shoulders. Let me move around to the side. We'll see that in fact it is relatively thin. It's interesting to imagine that if Donatello had seen this, he might be more inclined towards his David than would the other early Greek sculptures have suggested with their more musculature men. Notice the woman in the left with the knife. And notice the impressive carving on whatever this large swimming bathtub is. Looking at this section, you can't miss the elegance of the line in her left arm, or the flowing of those light garment or fabric she has in her hand. And you can feel the exuberance of his body moving forward and upward a little bit. I don't know what these statues were, but at the very least, the one on the right and probably the one on the left are attempting to dramatically demonstrate the sculptor's ability to portray the body in very stressed, tensioned positions. We admonish the Muslims for cutting off heads, but it was certainly something done in the past. This is interesting because it's divided into two. There is a pair of these things. What they were used for, I don't know. Dramatic stuff. Imagine this as a substitute for a carpet, which was probably, or perhaps alien to them. Would this have been in the kitchen, for example? And here, a powerful picture of or sculpture of a lion holding a bull's head in his hands, defensively, triumphantly. This is absolutely dripping with symbolisms. The knife wound, the dog lapping at the blood, the snake going after the blood, and down below the scorpion doing the almost unimaginable. This is a beautiful fountain that I missed in the focusing on all the statue around this courtyard. These may be the purple porphyry that Rick Steve Books refers to. And this, I'm thinking, is the Belvedere torso that theoretically influenced Michelangelo. The muscular structure more pronounced than that earlier Belvedere that I looked at, particularly in the back here. And when you look at Michelangelo's Prisoner series, you get somewhat the same sense of that structure in the back. Now this is purple, but whether it's a porphyry or not, I don't know. But it certainly is huge. An impressive room, but again, you could make a considerable study out of who and what these statues are and why they're important. Here at last are the two purple porphyry that were intended for Constantine's mother and for his daughter. I'll show you the second one. Now these were burial sarcophagus. When Constantine had his vision, won his battle, and then sanctioned Christianity, then they were able to be used for the purpose intended, I believe. It's obvious this scene deals with battle. Here, defeated people. Here, a man with his hands tied off, and here also. More of the same. Whether these are Greek or Roman lookalikes, because the Romans at a certain point in time, obviously after they'd conquered Egypt, were very much enamored with Egypt. Now, what stands out about these, according to the guide, is that this is an extremely hard stone, and that to be worked required a very special process of making the steel, of the iron that it would be worked with. And that process were lost for some centuries after these had been created. God, amazing to imagine the work that went into these things. Some more impressive hallways and stairway. Again, another impressive hallway en route to the Sistine Chapel. Again, just this overwhelming pile of sculptures. Of course, this is what the Catholic Church was able to buy and pay for over the centuries of its then and now domination. or at least the societies that dominated.